Okie doke, I think we're going to get started. Welcome, everybody. Hi, I'm over here. My name is Karen. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at TOPS. Really happy to be on with all of you today. We're going to be talking about one of our favorite topics, which is resident engagement. And the topic of today is that not all resident engagement is created equal. We're going to be talking about 5 key elements that really make for an excellent engagement strategy, particularly as we go into 2023 and round out the rest of this year. So let's jump forward. Perfect. Today we've got a couple of guests with us today. Again, myself, old news, don't worry about me. We've also got Melody Fritz, and Melody has worked with resident engagement for the better part of 7+ years and is joining us as an events and partnership manager and resident engagement specialist. We also have Theodore Spencer, who has also been living the front line of resident engagement now, and really excited to have him on to talk about some of the trends and strategies and support that you need to implement an excellent engagement strategy in the coming year. So we'll jump ahead. So today, as we talked about, not all resident engagement is created equal. What do I mean by that? I like to liken it to a bit of a bike and a car, right? Both are vehicles, both are going to get you from A to B. One makes the experience a lot easier. It makes it much more effective. It's an overall better transit experience. But it really is the devil in the details, right? The details are what make that experience different. So with that, we'll be covering trends that are driving differences in resident engagement, right? Especially as we prepare again for the new year. So those key elements that you should be looking out for when you're thinking about that experience are some of the elements that we'll be covering. We'll be looking at some real life examples along with the toolkit that you should be thinking about to support your strategy as you go into the new year. So let's kick off into those trends. Trends that are driving really resident engagement experience changes for 2023, right? You also see this in lots of other industries, but this is diversifying communications, right? As we think about communications between our residents, right, there's no one size fits all approach to this. There's no silver bullet that is going to be the only effective communication tool for your residents. So keeping that channel diverse is going to mean that you have a more effective strategy with more penetration to your residents and are reaching them more effectively. Looking at increased efforts for positive engagement experiences, right? That means maybe not just using your engagement strategy just for fluffy or just for information that's critical to them. It's really thinking about this as an actual communication strategy, what your goals are, right, and how to support that. Also transparency, right? We're living, this is 2022, again, we're going into 2023. The trend of transparency, particularly as we think about boards and management and the investment into PMCs, if that's you, the transparency component of that is going to be key to the trust that we need from the residents to support a communications plan. Enhancement through the right integrations. You'll see this across lots of different industries, and we are no different, right? Being able to leverage partnerships and integrations to ensure that your resident engagement is supported with the right functionality and tapping into the right data set even across other solutions is going to be key to making sure that your strategy is working as well as it can, and to that end being ahead of the curve of maybe even some of your competitors, again, if you're a PMC. And then ultimately a focus on building connections and communications between your community residents. So it's one thing to be a one-way street, right, and to be talking at our residents. It's a totally other thing to be really connecting them with each other and supplying the tools that help to stimulate and support that. So you're definitely going to see us talking a bit about that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead, kick it over to Melody and Theodore again. These are the folks who live it every day, and so they're going to be kicking off these trends. So go ahead, Melody.
Awesome, thanks, Karen. All right, so let's just dig into these 5 elements for the resident engagement strategy. The first one that we're going to talk about is communication. Communication is everything, and it's probably the most important part of your resident engagement strategy. We want to proactively look for ways to connect and engage with residents, and we need to have a plan for how to do that. And that becomes really important when we're talking about things like emergency communication. You have to have a plan for what you're going to do in any scenario. Theodore, I think you told me an example recently of a community that had a very time sensitive emergency situation. How did they handle those communications?
Yeah, thanks, Melody. So, SMS is obviously a huge game changer, and an example of that was from one of our customers. During the Hurricane Ian, he was able to send out emergency text directly from his phone in his car as it was happening to his residents about what's happening and what they need to do to prepare. And that's just something that I feel is a huge thing coming up, and everyone should have access to.
Yeah, that's a really great example. And you can see here that the open rate on text messages is so much higher than emails. So for those like urgent situations, it's really important to have a plan for how to communicate in that, type of event. But not all communication is crisis communication. You have so many great opportunities to connect with residents, to share things like community news, what's going on with the beautification project, what's the status of maybe some amenity repairs. And then also those helpful reminders, helping residents know when upcoming assessments are, due dates for payments, upcoming events, all that kind of fun stuff is also going to be an important part of your overall resident engagement communication strategy. Which brings us over to our next topic, which is events. Events are a very naturally way to get people connected and engaged. This can be something as simple as getting people to attend a meeting, and then more social fun things like, cooking classes. What you're really going to want to do is create those events and then help make it easy for residents to know what's coming up so that they can participate and attend. So, Theodore, I know you had an example of this, of a really helpful way to get residents engaged with events and what that can look like.
Yeah, so actually, I was speaking to one of our clients, and she said it's amazing. Not only is it able to inform their residents about these events, but they're actually seeing a higher participation because of being able to share these events with their residents, seeing more people more involved inside the associations and all the events that are happening.
That's really cool. It's great that they can use that to get people more engaged and more connected with, the community itself. All right, moving on to transparency. Transparency is a huge, very important part of your resident engagement strategy. It's been an important topic for a while, and that's just going to continue as we look into the next year, especially as more and more states are requiring homeowners associations, community associations to provide documents and access on a website. We have this great opportunity to engage with residents beyond just going that requirement and going like that extra step to provide other helpful and engaging information while they are on that site. So instead of just doing, the minimum requirement, let's, go a step above and really create those engaging experiences. And Theodore, we had talked to some about, the benefit of having things even like the rules and regulations online, how that can help residents engage.
Yeah, I mean, having the rules and regulations available to you at all times definitely is a huge plus. You're able to just see all those rules and regulations, all those documents, and it actually cuts down what we're seeing. It's cutting down on a lot of violations that are happening inside these associations.
So that's really cool. And then, if you're out there proactively giving that information and reducing those violations, then there's this shift. You're kind of not seen so much as the manager who's out there sending out those notices. You're more seen as somebody who's providing that helpful, proactive communication and really, helping residents succeed in, community association living, which is, what it's all about. All right, so let's talk about integrations. Your communication strategy, your resident engagement strategy is going to be that much stronger if you have a strong partner. So looking into software integrations to boost that resident engagement strategy, let's think about sort of our day to day. If we have a lot of different things going on, but one of the things we know we have to do is check the balance of our account versus maybe checking event, maybe checking the news. We're probably going to check our account first, and that's what residents are going to do. So if residents, we know they have to do a certain task, but if we can also engage them while they're doing it, if we have this integrated connection between the accounting software and the resident engagement side, we can pull residents in to make those, check their account, do all that type of stuff that they have to do, the maintenance type of stuff. But then while they're there, they can look at the events, they can see the community news. We're giving them all sorts of other information that they may not otherwise have if that integration wasn't in place. And having that online payment option for residents can be a huge part of it. So Theodore, we were just talking about this the other day.
Yeah, Honestly, just being able to go there, a lot of people have to worry about because they're really busy with their days. They have to worry about writing out a check, getting it somehow to the office. But with online payments, just sign on, you make the payment, you know it's going through, you could see it right there. And that's kind of a ease of mind with that structure that's going on. It's definitely a plus.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And we're just used to making payments online for everything. And so if we're offering that to our residents, then that's an experience that they've come to expect. But by exceeding that, really giving them all these opportunities to engage around that, it's sort of a win-win situation. All right, and so this is going to be another big one for next year. It's just fighting apathy, creating those really strong connections in the community so that people are connected to each other and connected with what's going on, getting people really invested and to buy into the community. And we can approach this a couple of different ways. So when we're talking about connections, we can talk about neighbors connecting with neighbors, creating opportunities for residents to engage with each other. We can talk about ways for residents to engage with the community itself. So that's the second layer of our engagement strategy here. And then we can also look into ways for us to engage with residents. How, as a manager, can you engage with residents? So we're sort of approaching this engagement from all angles and creating a stronger emotional connection with the community that helps people just feel more invested in it, to care more about what's happening where they live. And I know with the holidays coming at Theater, we were talking about how that creates some fun opportunities to really build that sort of like community connection around that shared experience.
Oh yeah, the holidays are going to be a great way. I've actually been seeing a lot of associations. They're doing huge holiday decoration competitions. Residents are sharing pictures. They're showing all these events that they're doing coming up for the holidays, and I think it's a great way to get social and experience with all of your fellow neighbors and everyone else living there.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. And I love that because I mean, I don't necessarily talk to all my neighbors, but if I saw something like, oh, that's such a cool, really, really cool
Mhm.
decoration, then you can kind of connect over that. That's a conversation you wouldn't necessarily have if that wasn't going on in the community. Okay, so we've talked about these trends and we've talked about these different components for your resident engagement strategy. Resident engagement is an ongoing effort. It's not something that you just check a box and say, I did resident engagement. No, it's something that you're always doing, but that doesn't mean that it has to be hard. We've got your back. We have some tools for you here that can support your resident engagement strategy and really help you bring that to life. So looking at those elements that we talked about earlier, for communication, give residents flexible communication options. The type of communications you're going to be sending varies. The residents you're communicating with vary. So you want to create those different options so that everybody can receive the information they want to receive when it's appropriate, how it's appropriate. You're also going to want to save yourself some time. Automated reminders in a system that allows you to schedule communications in advance is super convenient for you. It helps you do your job and it helps you do it faster. And then mobile capabilities are huge. Everybody is on their phones. You definitely want to give residents access to communication online, and you want to be able to send out the communication from your mobile device as well. Talking about events, automated event reminders, like Theodore was saying, like helping people know when those meetings are coming up is going to be an important part of your strategy. And then for those more sort of social connection type of events, having a system that has an online RSVP tool and then online payment options if ticketing is involved is going to help you a lot in terms of managing those events. Thinking about transparency, a document management system is going to be very important for that, and you want it to have privacy controls. So if you have those documents that have to be on the public side of the site, that's one thing, but then you have financial information that maybe is secure, that maybe needs to be on a password protected side of the site. That's going to help you achieve those transparency goals. Providing online access to those rules and regulations so that you're hopefully cutting down on violations is going to be a big part of that. And then keep in mind that you want to provide diverse access to the different types of information, different types of documents, make it easy for people to find what they need, when they need, where they need it. And then looking towards integrations, that integrated solution with your accounting and your resident engagement side is going to be so helpful, because then you're able to pull residents in with that stuff that they have to do and then keep them for that more engaging type of relationship. That Online payment portal is going to be a big component of that because that's really something that residents must do. That's a big part of what they have to do. And if we can make that very easy, if they know that that exists, then we're creating sort of those positive customer service experiences, and then also creating opportunities to engage that maybe we didn't have before. And then looking into connections, talking about fighting that apathy. You can build those connections with things like online social groups or committees, giving people an online place to sort of build those relationships with each other. We just talked about those community photo galleries. That's a really fun way to create and build and strengthen those relationships with people in the community. And then online communication tools, that is, again, it all comes down to communication. That's going to help you connect with these residents. It's going to help them connect with you. So all of these things that you see here are tools that are really going to help you make the most of your resident engagement strategy.
Thank you, Melody, and thank you, Theodore. I get to come in on the end of the beginning, right? I've been listening to, but I'm the MC for you guys, and I just want to thank you so much for Melody and Theodore for talking to us today. Resident engagement is going to continue to be a hot topic with us, right? Because it's a hot topic in our industry, and it's ultimately, right, our customers and in your customers, right, and making sure that they feel supported and engaged with their community. So we'll be continue to be focused on it, and from an education and product perspective. So if there's anything else that you think we should be covering from that perspective, let us know. If you have any questions about the toolkit or the functionality that we covered here today, or want to take a demo on our product, we're here. Let us know by reaching out. Email us there at marketing@topsoft.com. That will get to us. And based on the nature of your question, whether it's a question about the product or just a question about what's going on and the trends that we covered here today, we'll make sure you get either answered by us, right, or connected with the right folks on next steps. Ultimately, I just want to thank all of you for joining. It's a Friday afternoon. It is the week before Thanksgiving. We know you're really, really busy, but it is incredibly important for us to continue to provide you all with great information on what's happening in our industry. So just want to thank you for spending the time with us. We'll make these sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit shorter. For today, we really wanted to cover quite a bit on the trends and ways that you can support it. Again, if you have any questions or want to reach out to us, marketing@topsoft.com. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and a wonderful holiday, no matter where you are. Stay warm, it's starting to get cold out there. So we'll see you all next time. Thanks so much.